So I'm building up the nodes because and it's answering the way that these are built up with the tape and the paper is asking two questions, or the same question. When we've got these tails that come from the end of the Kevlar, what we'll do is I've been cutting the down here, so you end up with strips about this wide. When the tape goes across here from the end of the of what's being wrapped around the pipe, will there be an air bubble underneath? Now, there's two situations where that could occur. You can see there's one here. All right. So that would end up with an air bubble if we push that in there. But that's not the essential bit. This first layer is fine. It's the second layer where it starts to matter, that if there is an indentation, a concave indentation, then the next layer will need epoxy resin filling, especially if it's a particularly large one. Now, there's a test. Okay, all right. Thank you. There's a particular test that I want to show you here, which makes it very obvious what's going on. So let's say that the end of the cloth rolls off here. Right, we managed to get it at an angle, but because it's wrapping round this one here, right, you can see it's very obvious that there's a gap here. All right, so we want some packing in here, but I particularly wanted to illustrate by actually putting on some masking tape to show how this can be corrected, what the shape is to be like of the paper that needs to go in this gap. I'm going to do it by pretending that there's a tail coming off from here, all right, and that's going to go on there. So it's going crosswise at one. Right. And then we'll do another tail crosswise. So imagine that tail is coming off from here and comes down, but hugely under tension. All right. Make sure it goes on. And then we have another piece that goes crosswise on. That's come off. That's coming off. As you can see, it's bunched up. The last thing we need is for the tape to bunch up. Right, I'm going to put another piece on there, and now we have a slope that if we now put our pretend tape on to the thing, which way round was it? It was this way round, wasn't it? That way round. There is less of a gap now. Yeah. There's less of a gap if we bring it around here. That's it. Okay. So can you see because this is now angled, there is less of a gap. So there's less of a risk of this tape. The tape, when it comes off of the end of the the tail on the end of this, there's less of a risk of it bunching up. And if we do a similar thing on here, on this one, let's do that similar thing. Right, so from there, pull it really tight, give it some angle, and you can see it's crinkled there, and that will be a problem if that was the Kevlar tape doing that, because then the next layer on top would also be crinkled, and you'd end up with an air bubble and etc. etc. So if we can get this to happen with the masking tape and make sure that it's only on the first layer, then we're golden. That's not entirely gone as I was hoping it would go, but it gives you the idea. We've got a little bit of an angle on here, such that when we put, if this was the Kevlar, and it comes off of here and it's covered in resin and it goes down on here, then you can see here there's an area that's concave there. So now what we're going to do is pack out some stick out some tape. I'm using the masking tape and gluing that on. Now let's check it again. Yeah, that's well, it's better, but can you see that it's stretching out like that? So it really does need to be more thing. Or we could just change the angle. So instead of the angle of the tape coming out here, instead of the angle of the tape coming out here, where there's an air pocket would form, we'd make the Kevlar tape go down like that. And there's a surprising amount of flexibility in this cloth. I mean, look at it. You know, you can go like that angle, that angle, that angle. You can even to some extent actually bend it at an angle, especially when it's only this thick. So you just have to think about it and ask yourself the question: how would an air bubble form of one layer to the next when doing this? And if you can make sure that the tape is nice and concave, so everywhere is concave, so where it's coming off of here, because this is the places where your tape is where the tails are going to come off from here, 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 from the direction of these pipes, and you want to avoid bunching. You want to avoid it, the thing bunching up and crinkling and ending up like that, because that, when you cover it in another layer of the tape, that's where you'll get an air pocket, and that's not strong, that's not good. And it's really important, this, because in the motorcycle SVA test, it says one of the things they watch out for in a fiberglass frame is, are there any air pockets? So they will go round your vehicle inspecting it, looking for air pockets, because they know damn well that they're extremely weak and you're placing yourself at risk. So it's actually really important to do this properly. Yeah, thank you.